A lot of us are starting to see the fluctuation of productivity that's happening right now in the trucking field. And when I say that, I'm talking from the perspective of why are we not seeing the output that we used to see? Like more money, more products going out, more shipments that we're making money off of. And what's wild is we don't really know the answer. I thought the answer at one time was the tariffs. But let's be real. Anytime I get a phone call and it's told to me early in the morning, like if I report to work early, just think about this. And you get a phone call from your boss, and when you get that phone call, they say, don't report to work. First thing you think of, damn, I'm fired? Right away, they like, no. You just off today. No work. Damn, first time for that. But then I had to reevaluate my thinking. I forgot that we already was going through this. It's just that it's the first time with me with high seniority that I'm feeling it. Because now I'm the one that's being told stay home. Not only that, when you make a certain money as a driver, and I'm talking to all drivers, you're accustomed to operating a certain way. Now, this is the problem. When you used to operate in a certain way, you normally know that you take home, how much money that you're putting out. You understand what your checks are going to look like. Well, let's just talk about when you think about a local driver. We're hourly, make good money, but if you're not getting the hours, you feel like you at a loss. Now, not only you feel like a loss, you feel like, damn, I was prepared to get a check for this much because you're used to it. When you're used to something, you normally know what you normally going to get. Now, when you're being told to stay home or work is slow, you're not even hitting 40 hours when you used to get 52 hours, 50 hours. A lot of us is in the same playing field. Well, the problem tends to happen is when you're starting to see more and more of this, you're starting to understand that the economy is real right now.
Some truck drivers are being asked to stay home, man. Look, first and foremost, let me give a quick shout out to that driver who works for Estes. Go check out his channel. I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can check out the entire video. His YouTube channel is Lashawn Major. I appreciate you, brother, for dropping that video. You spoke a lot of facts in the video. And I just want you guys to know, if you're viewing the channel for the first time, definitely take a second and go check out his content. I think he has a little over 280 subscribers, so relatively small channel. Go show him some love. I just want to talk about some of the things he spoke about in the video, man. You know, as an LTL driver, those of you that are watching this channel right now, I'm sure a lot of you may be in LTL. Lashawn talked about getting a call from management basically telling him to stay home because there's no work available. If you're in LTL, you guys know those type of phone calls is common practice in LTL. Now, in many cases, the drivers who have the least amount of seniority are probably getting those phone calls more than the vets, right? In Lashawn's case, he seems to be someone who has a lot of seniority. And he said, you know, getting that call in his position, it pretty much really brings things into perspective. And it's an indication that, it's an indication that it's getting real out here, right? Particularly, you know, in the trucking industry. For a lot of truck drivers out there, you may not necessarily be feeling it. I think a lot of truck drivers are feeling it more than others, depending on the industry that you're in. Obviously, LTL, moving freight, there may not be a lot of work available. So that's obviously going to cut down the loads, the runs. Most local truck drivers are hourly paid drivers. hourly paid employees. So, you know, he mentioned in that video, I don't know if it was in that clip or not, but in that video, he talked about how you get accustomed to making a certain amount of money. You get accustomed to getting a certain amount of hours. And then once that changes and those hours start to go down, now it's one of those things where you're sitting here thinking like, okay, what am I going to do now? And this is something that I talked about a couple months ago. Well, to be honest, I've talked about this numerous times with my channel about, you know, putting money away for times when it gets slow, putting money away for unforeseen circumstances. So very important. Not just in trucking, but with any job, because you just never know what can happen. Unexpected things happen all the time when you're working for a company. And, you know, some of these things can negatively impact your salary, your wages, your hours, your money, right? So it's all the same thing. If you don't prepare for the things that you can't see right now, you're going to be in trouble when it actually comes to fruition. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, because I'm glad somebody else can be an example of what you can experience out here in this trucking space. Some of you LTL drivers right now watching this video, some of you fuel haulers out there watching this video, some of you food service drivers out there watching this video, whatever you do in trucking. If you're watching this video and you've been negatively impacted in some way, shape, form, or fashion due to what's going on in the economy, drop it in the comment section. He's not the only one that's received that phone call saying, look, stay home. It's just no work available. A lot of us may not necessarily have received the phone call, but the hours have been negatively impacted due to what's going on in the economy. And so, you know, recently I made a video. I was telling you guys about the changes on my route, right? My 2-day route is coming to an end towards the end of this month. And I don't know what my route is going to look like after we restructure our routes. This is something that I didn't see coming. This was a total surprise, right? But one thing you can believe is that Ant got money stacked up. So I put money aside so that if anything were to happen that negatively impacted my money, I would be in a position to absorb some of the loss that I may take. Not necessarily saying that I'm going to lose in this situation. I could make more money, right? Who knows? But in the event that I don't make as much as I was making on a 2-day route, I'm good, right? And I think, you know, that's the most important thing. If you don't take anything away from this video, I want you guys to take this bit of advice. I can't overstate this. I can't reiterate this enough. You need to be putting money away. You need to be saving money. Save money, right? If you don't have enough excess income at the end of the week, or at the end of every 2 weeks, or at the end of the month, or whatever the case may be, you need to figure out how you can free up some money so that you can put money away. If you're so overextended due to bills, debts, whatever the case may be, you got to figure out how to get that down. The more money you can see for yourself after you pay your expenses, the more money you can save. Now, obviously, in my personal opinion, investing is extremely important. I'm going to talk about investing a lot on my channel because I think it's key to growing your wealth. Putting your money to work has been so beneficial to me and so many of you guys that watch the channel who are also investors. You understand the power of investing. You understand what compound interest means and what that can do over time for you. So a lot of you are smart enough to be able to put money away, save, and invest for moments like these. And that's so important, man. It's critical that you adopt some of these behaviors, because if you don't, you're going to be looking like a deer in headlights. Like, what's going on? What do I do? You guys, if you're paying attention, if you got your eyes open, if you're paying attention, if you're listening, you know what's going on in the economy right now. You know it's not looking good. You know inflation keeps creeping up. You know the employment rate just increased again to 4.3% from 4.2% last month. You know that the job growth in August was 22,000 jobs. You know in July, the revised amount of jobs that was created was far below the amount that should have been created. In this economy right now, there's literally more people looking for jobs than there are jobs, which is why it's such a challenge for individuals to find jobs now. It's tough. Not only is it tough, here's what a lot of people are facing right now in this particular job market. Those that are looking for jobs. Companies are in a position to where they can literally weed out candidates down to the specific qualifications and requirements that they're looking for said job, and choose the candidate who perfectly fits what they're looking for. They just want to plug and play at this point, and they can do that. In real estate, we have what's called a buyer's market and a seller's market. In a buyer's market, it favors the buyer. In a seller's market, it's favorable to the seller. Well, in this particular job market, I call it an employer's market because the employers have all the leverage. So 5-6 years ago, if you were qualified for a position, that's all it took is for you to be qualified. Now, in this market, you're competing with people who are more qualified than the qualified. And so the qualified is not getting calls in this market, at least not during the first round. Maybe somebody may double back, or maybe you get lucky. But now this market is just so competitive. You have very qualified, highly educated individuals that are having a difficult time finding a job. So, like I talked about in previous videos, man, if you have a job right now, don't take it for granted. You're fortunate if you have a job in this market. Be smart while you're working. If you're at a job and you're not happy, because a lot of people are at jobs that they absolutely hate and they're miserable, but they have to go to work because they have to pay bills. I still think if you're at a job that you hate and it makes you miserable, to me, that's not healthy. And personally, I wouldn't be in that situation. I would definitely be looking for another job. The best time to find another job is when you already have one. So hopefully you guys are out here looking. I don't think it's smart to quit a job without knowing for a fact that you have another one lined up, but that's just my personal opinion. In some cases, maybe you're working in an environment at a job that's so toxic, you just gotta go. In that situation, you gotta do what you gotta do. But be strategic about your moves in this market, man. Be strategic. A lot of people are having a tough time. But again, the most important thing I want you guys to take from this video is that anybody can be affected by what's going on in this market. You are not, how do I want to say this? You can be touched in this market. You're not immune to what's going on in this job market. Nobody's safe. So hopefully you can come to that realization and not think that, man, this can't happen to me, because it can. Your income, your wages, your salary can take a hit just like the next person. So the best thing that you can do is be smart, manage your money properly. Don't go out here overspending. Be conscious of what you're spending your money on. Don't get yourself in unnecessary debt. Try to pay off some debt that you have already, if you do have debt. And just be mindful, man. Be mindful of your financial situation. Be mindful of the job market that you're in right now. Listen, man, that's all I got for you guys. I'll holler at you on the next one. Peace.